So now we're going to code for when there are no more carrots on the board. So let's write that down. Okay, so when there are no more carrots. Okay, we will then randomly add 4 more. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to call a function, and it will return a boolean, either true or false. If it returns true, then we'll exit the program because there's an error. So we'll call it add food to board. Okay, and we'll add, let's do some error handling. So if is error, so if error is true, then please exit the program. So maybe send an alert and exit execution of the program. Say there was an error adding food to the board. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, and now what I want to now this function, we could just call a function, or we could pass arguments to it. So what we want to do is maybe pass the size of the board. So we want the food items to go on a square within the board. We also want to pass the location of the bunny. So here we can add max row and max column. Let's just make sure those are variables. So find max column. Yes, max column is a variable. Okay, and then also we want to pass in the bunny location ID right here. Okay, great. Now the function has not yet been defined. So let's now define that. Let's go to the bottom of our script here. And we'll say this is our next function. This is add food items to the board. Function. Okay, that's the function. And here's what will happen when we call the function. We want to have a boolean is error equals false, and then if something triggers it to be if something happens, it'll trigger it. And so let's say is error becomes true, and then we can return is error. So right now it's going to be triggered, and we'll get an error message at the if we run out of food. Okay, so let's go down and test it. Eat some food. There was an error adding food to the board. So interestingly, we called this function while there was still food on the board. So there's something wrong with our if statement. It was called instantly. So we want to say only call it when there's no more there are no more carrots on the board. Okay, so maybe let's wrap this inside of an if clause. So first we need to find out how many carrots are on the board. So maybe we should get let food array equal this is the food location. So let food array equal calling to this class. So let's get food location. Okay, and let's alert that. What is the length of food array? Okay, and here will be the if clause. If food array length is less than, well, if it's 0 or less, -1, I don't know how that would be possible, but okay, then we would call the code that we just wrote. So let's take these out, okay, and put them here. Okay, great. Okay, and let's indent this a little bit. Okay, great. So, okay, right now that looks good. Okay, so now let's try and run that and see what happens. I'm not sure why this is only one space off. Okay, let's run it and see what happens. So I move the bunny over top of the carrot. I press eat. It says that how many bunnies are left. Now there's only one bunny, one food left. Sorry. I press it again. It tells me there are 0 left, and nothing happens. So maybe we want to say if food is less than or equal to 0, so that we're including 0. So let's try again. Eat. There's 1. Go up. Eat. There's 0. There was an error adding food to the board. Perfect. Things are working as expected. Okay, so now that we've defined it, now it's returning an error. We are ready to go into full development mode with this function. Let's go find it. Okay, and all right, so we are going to need to write a plan. Okay, let's delete that. Here is the plan. We need to generate 4 random IDs. Okay, if any IDs are the same as the bunny location ID, or as the same or each other, the same as each other, in that case, start again. So we will have a do while loop, okay, and inside of that we'll have a for loop. And the for loop will get the 4 items, and it will check each time if if they are matching. If they aren't matching, perfect. Then we can save that and then keep those locations. And we're going to also add those to the board. But we will also define in an array of IDs. So let food ID array equal an empty array. So if there is a match, so the IDs are not unique, then empty the array. Okay. Otherwise, push the ID to the array. So in the for loop, it will progressively add a new ID a new ID element to the array, but it will check each time to see if there's a match. If there is a match, then we have to start over because we want them all to be unique. Okay, and we don't know how long it will take, so that's why we're using a do while loop. Okay, so let's write that out. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's write let is same ID. So we'll have equals false. So this will be triggered if something is the same, and then a boolean for all of them. So let no ID same. Let's make that plural. IDs same equals false. Okay, and also since we're using a while loop, sometimes if you code something wrong, the code will go forever, and your computer will crash from memory overload. So what we want to do is you want to add something to prevent that. Let count equal 0. Okay, so let's just test this out. Let's get a random number. So we want an integer. So let int 1, and we're going to, what are we going to do? We're going to make a function just to produce it. So we'll make several of them, and we'll test them and see if we're generating a correct random number that fits our needs. Okay, so get random int, and maybe we want to pass a min number and a max number. Okay, so we'll make maybe 4 or 5 of these, and we'll see if the numbers are in fact random and meeting our needs. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there we go. 7, and let's underneath this, let's add a function. Okay, so function get random integer. Okay, and we're passing in a min and max. Okay, and we'll have an int error. So int error will be -1. If something goes wrong, let's return -1. Return int error. Okay, so we'll see if there's a case where we need to trigger that. Okay, so we'll just do simply if int1 equals -1, then in that case, let's say is error equals true, return is error. So it's going to return an error. Okay, perfect. Let's add that underneath each one just to handle a problem. Okay, so we're getting 7 random numbers, and we're going to return an error if the number, something goes wrong. The function has not been developed right now, so if I run it right now, it should give me an error. So let's go down and eat. Okay, no problem. Here we'll get an error. Oh, I did not get any error. So let's check the console. Ah, I did. So it says min is not defined. Perfect. That's at HTML 454. So we're at 500, 464, 454 right here. We did not define min. So let's just set min and let min equals 0. So the leftmost edge and the topmost edge are 0. Okay, and the max number is 3. Okay, so if you go to the furthest to the right, or the furthest to the down, the furthest down, then that would be 3. Let's reset it and see if we get an error again. Eat and eat again, and perfect. Now it gives us the message we were expecting. There was an error adding food to the board. So okay, perfect. So now now that that's working, and maybe actually we should add a console message so that we know exactly what is the error. Okay, I'll add that, and then we'll define the function for getting a random integer. Okay, so let's first say let temporary number equal math.random. Okay, and we're going to just call that and see what we get. We're also going to, at the end of calling all of these functions, we're going to write the result to the console. Okay, so we want to write this to the console, and so let's get back in 6, in 7. Okay, and now we're going to test it. So let's refresh. Okay, fantastic. We got an error right away. So let's check what it is. Okay, uncaught syntax error, missing a right bracket at line 498. Great. So here's 498, and we forgot to add a right bracket. Oh, interesting. So it's a console log. int1, that's fine. int2, okay, I think it's fine. Oh, this is not a variable. There we go. That was the problem. Okay, so let's delete all of those colons. Those are not variables, so that's not going to work. Okay, let's save it, refresh. Much better. Okay, let's go down, eat, and let's see what random numbers we get. There was an error adding food to the board. It may have been that I did not return a different number. Okay, so here we're still returning the error. What we should be returning is, if everything goes well, is the temp number. So Then we'll handle for a case when we return an error. Okay, so let's refresh. Okay, eat the first food item, eat the second food item. Great, no error message so far. And now we get these 7 numbers. So as you can see, if you look here closely, these numbers are decimal numbers. And what are they between? Are they all the same? No, they're all different, so that's great. But they're all between 0 and 1. And so, okay, so that's good. So maybe what we need to do to get an integer is we need to first multiply them by our max number, and then use the floor function so that we remove any decimal ending. And let's see what the result will be. Okay, so now we're going to multiply these by max. Okay, we'll refresh, we'll go down and eat each of the items, and now we're going to see the numbers. So the numbers are now 1.7, 0.18, 0.18. So some of them are above, most of them are below 0. So this is, but actually not all of them. This one is 2.3. So all of them are between, if we converted that to an int, if we truncated them, they would all be between 0 and 0 and 2. But we want them, that would only give us 3 numbers. We want 4. So our max number should be 1 larger. So let's add 1 to the max number so we can get 4 results. We'll also use math.floor. Okay, and now we're going to refresh and see what we get. Eat 1, eat the second one, and now, there was an error with draw board elements exit at 370. But look at this, we have our ints. We have 3, 0, 1, 1, 0, 3, 1. So everything, we have 4 digits between 0 and 3. It's looking like it's working. If you wanted to have so right now we only need the max because our min is actually 0. So plus min. Okay, there, that would make the function complete. Maybe we should say if the temporary number is less than 0, then we have a problem. I don't know how that would happen, but in that case, your temporary number would equal the int error. Or maybe you just say return int error. Return int error. And you could say console.log. You could return, say what the number is and what the error is. Okay, you could say temp number is less than 0. Error exit temp number, and here you can see what it is. This, which is very unlikely, but okay, so that's what we would do. So we could just do that right here. You could say temp number equals -5. Okay, so we can force this to happen. Let's do an alert so we can see it quickly and then convert it to a console log. So go down, this will cause an error. Eat this first one, eat the second one, 0. Temporary number is less than 0. Exit, temporary number was -5. So it is working fine. Let's change that to a console log. Okay. Okay, so let's zoom out. Let's erase all of this. We don't need all of these ints. That was just for testing purposes. Okay, and let's zoom out a bit more. Okay, and we don't need that. And so what we need instead, actually maybe we could use that, but okay, what we want is a random row, a random column, and a random row. Okay, so we have a random column, and we'll also have our random row. I'll use R and C to represent column and row. Okay, and here we'll just check the row. Actually, we're doing column first, so we should do column and row. Oops. Okay, so let's delete that. Okay, great. So now that we're getting the random column, random row, we want to do this 4 times within a loop. So we could say for let I equal 0 while I is less than max. And actually, I didn't need to. Max should be. So this max here, I should be using max row or max column. So, so if we're getting the C, min is 0 and it's max column, right? So I don't need this max variable. Okay, and let's put that there. Okay, and also for row, we're getting max row. Okay, so okay, now it's looking much better. So now we could say, okay, so this is not. I guess it doesn't matter. It's by if your max row or your max column. If your board is 4x4, it's okay. So maybe we'll just hard code it and say, well, it's less than 3, I++. Okay, great. We have the for loop. Now we want to enter this code inside of it. Okay, so copy all of that, put it inside, and let's do some indentation. Okay, so now it looks nice and pretty. Okay, so we want to get the random int 4 times, and we're going to form your ID. So we want to form a food ID that I can add to this array 4 times. Okay, so let food ID equal to square underscore plus C plus dash and plus a row. Okay, and then now what we want to do is we want to check it against the bunny ID. So we want to say if it's not the same as the bunny ID, if food ID equals the bunny ID, and it's actually called bunny location ID, then say there's an error, say you know, then we'll tell we'll trigger one of the booleans so that the while loop that we're going to put this all inside of will repeat. So okay, then we'll send a message. We'll say try again. Try again. Or maybe better yet, we should include what the IDs are. So console.log, try again. Food ID and bunny ID are the same. Okay, and let's indicate what those are. Okay, so let's put it here. Let's say let's put, so food ID will be here. Okay, so food ID, and then we're going to show that it equals this one, or it should, bunny location ID. Okay, great. So let's try that out, and let's see what the results are. So and actually, if it's not the same, else you want to push it to the array. So else, here's the array, else push to this array. Okay, so array dot push food ID. Okay, and then maybe at the end of everything, we're going to log the array, and we can inspect it and see what the result was. Okay, let's save. Let's refresh. Okay, so our and let's expand this a little bit. Okay, our bunny goes down, he eats one, he eats another, and then it says there was an error adding food to the board. So it says error with get random integer, and I see that I still left the temporary number, it's setting to -5. So that is something I had done right here. So I need to remove this. I was triggering the code on the error handling on purpose. So we want to remove that. Let's try again. So okay, eat. Okay, no error message. Oh, but down here it says there was an error with draw board elements. Interesting. But here we see that we got square, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-0. So interestingly, the it may not have been the same as the bunny coordinates, but the food coordinates are the same as each other for these first two elements. Okay, so bunny are interesting. Okay, so what we need to do also as well is check the food IDs or locations IDs against themselves. So I think since we'll have an array of food IDs, we can then use the include method. So okay, so let's say okay, and then also here we could say if, okay, and what we should say is if it's the same, we say try again, but then don't let it continue. You could say it's a for loop, right? So we could say I equals 3, and so that way the loop will not continue. And we want to empty the array. So food array dot length equals 0. So this is one way to empty the array. Okay, now here we want to add another if statement, and we want to check and say let's add another boolean here. So let's say is same ID. So here maybe we want to say is same ID is true, and so we'll start out is same ID equals true. And maybe at the beginning, yeah, is same ID is true, else is same ID equals false. Okay, we want is same ID to be false 4 times for this to work. Okay, okay, and then here we'll check another one, another is same ID. So is same ID here. Okay, so you could say if the food ID array dot includes this here. Includes, what is it going to include? Oh, the new food ID, right? Food ID. Then we'll trigger the Boolean here as well. Is same ID equals true? So this might be challenging. So else, if it's not true, then we're in luck, and we can add this here. Okay, and of course, if it's true, we want to reset the length of the array and exit the loop and start over. So, okay, all right, that seems logical. Okay, and okay, so at the end, this should, there's no while loop, so it should either give us 4 location IDs, or it should quit on us early. Okay, so let's save that, refresh. Okay, so we have a syntax error at 478 column 39. 478 column 39. Okay, 478 is here. So 478, and it's at column. Okay, so it may have been food ID array. Okay, interesting. So it may be a problem with include. Oh, this is not an if statement, right? So if same ID. Okay, this needs to be an if statement. There we go. That should work. Let's reset it. We're good. Let's test it. Eat one, eat another. Okay, great. We were able to add 3 unique IDs. Let's try it again, and then we're going to next add the while loop. So here, we were not able to add any unique IDs. It quit right away. Let's do it another time. So clearly we need a while loop to ensure we get the result eventually. So here we get 3 unique IDs again. Okay, that will be next, making the while loop.